We all want the good life, right? And usually that means good relationships with your friends, your family, spouse. But lately, a new brand of pop psychologists have started spinning a story to take advantage of that, one that's ruining your relationships. Let's take a look at what that story is. All right, the first channel I want to look at, this is Stephanie Lynn Coaching. She's the first one that I saw in this genre that we're about to explore. Let me know if something jumps out at you. Traits of a female narcissist. How will the narcissist react? Narcissist's favorite things. Getting revenge on the narcissist. We'll come back to that one. The word narcissist is all over the place on just her homepage. And it's not just this channel either. Let's look at a couple of others. There's a whole channel that's called Exposing the Narcissist. And it's all about how to deal with narcissists, how to test for the narcissist, triggering the narcissist to come back. I'm not sure why you would want to do that, but if that's what you're into. We got another one, Tammy M. Okay, this is the one where I think we can start to connect some of the dots and figure out what's going on. She has two keywords that jump out everywhere in all of these titles and thumbnails: narcissist and empath. So this gives us a really quick view into the story that these pop psychologists are selling. She even spells it out for us right here in this thumbnail. Become a warrior empath. The story is good versus evil. It's very clever what this does, because look at this. Emotional abuse and red flags. How to avoid being manipulated. What do all of those stories have in common? It's not you. It's about what the other person is doing to you. Even when they're not talking about narcissists, it is all about externalizing blame. They're the bad guy. I'm the good guy. If you've noticed a trend of influencers and TikTok girls using terms like gaslighting in completely the wrong places and throwing words like toxic around like they live in a nuclear power plant, well, this is the source. This is where it's all coming from. Heck, you might have even had somebody label you with this stuff. But buckle up, because this rabbit hole goes a lot deeper. Let's go back and look at these channels again for a second. None of these people, as far as I can tell, are actual psychologists. We're talking about a life coach here, a life coach. Let's see, she doesn't. I am someone who's been through emotional abuse. I'm not a therapist and I do not provide therapy. Okay, at least she's honest about it. These are not counselors or pastors or teachers. These are people who found a story that a lot of people want to hear. Because now any unqualified teenage TikTok girl can project this evil narcissist character onto her ex-boyfriend and blame him for all of the problems in their relationship. And all of a sudden, now she's not responsible for any of it. So heck yeah, of course everybody's eating this stuff up. And the reason why this story ruins relationships is because if you get caught up in this story that the other person is the problem, I am the victim of everything here, guess what you're not going to do? You're not going to work on yourself.
I'm probably just perfect, and it's everybody else around me that's got issues.
The difficult truth that none of these coaches seem to be saying is that sometimes in your relationships, you are half the problem. You're going to bring some stuff to the table that's going to be difficult for the other person. Let's shake this tree a little bit more and see what falls out. What is the narcissist doing to us?
The first thing that you'll see is possibly a faux apology. You know, I'm so sorry that you're hurting. That's not an apology.
Okay, that's true. Yes, a narcissist will do that. But one thing to remember though is, so will people who aren't narcissists. When we say narcissist, let's define that really quick. NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. There's a lot of behaviors like this that it's not unique to just them. So keep that in mind, because that might end up causing us some pretty big problems later on. We'll check. Let's keep going.
So this chance encounter is when the narcissist plans to show up exactly where they know you're going to be. So this might be at church, or it might be when you're walking your dog.
So now if you randomly bump into somebody, they're a narcissist. Okay. Great way to look at life. Oh, hey, how's it going? Haven't seen you in a while. Ew, get away from me, narc. Obviously, they're a narcissist.
When they think they're losing control, they're going to try to play on your empathy, and they might play the victim. So they're going to do and say things that make you feel like you've done something wrong.
Okay, that's valid, and that's all fair, but I would venture a guess there's probably a good number of people that heard that and thought to themselves, anytime they hear another person say, hey, you did something that hurt me, well, obviously that's a narcissist deflecting. because obviously I couldn't have done anything wrong. Now we're starting to get to the fundamental problem of this entire narrative. Now, she is right. If you're dealing with an actual clinical narcissist, this is probably a pretty good way to handle it. But the trouble with the YouTube self-help pop psychology version of it is it encourages you to apply these concepts to situations where you're not dealing with a narcissist, you're just dealing with a human. This will not lead you to flourishing relationships. Because you look at a lot of the stuff that they're saying, it's stuff that everybody does. We don't know if they're a narcissist or just a really selfish person, like all the rest of us. One thing you'll notice about all these channels, they talk about narcissism and gaslighting everywhere. After seeing all of this stuff and watching all this content, you might start to think that there's a narcissist around every corner. So you might be asking the question, how likely are you to actually run into a real narcissist? This is from National Library of Medicine. This is a .gov website, so you hope these people are trustworthy. They found that lifetime prevalence for NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, is about 6.2%. That means that 94% of the time, if you're having friction in a relationship, it's not because they are this evil narcissist monster. They're just a human. The thing that this story is missing is that when God created the world and he created people, he made us good. And we broke it. We spat in his face and rejected him, and we fell, and we broke the world. We broke ourselves as a result. And we instantly became entirely self-seeking and selfish. And we all bring that selfishness into every relationship that we're in. So there will always be friction in our relationships. And if we're not willing to recognize that selfishness that we bring to the table and work on it, you will continue to have the same problems in relationships that you've always had. If you want your relationships to be better, you need to start by working on yourself so that you can be better for the other person. Unfortunately, those aren't the videos that get views. So these coaches don't post that stuff because look at this, even the stuff that's just about taking care of your own mental health, let alone working on the ways that you are causing problems for other people. You see none of that. That is completely blank because nobody wants to hear about how they are part of the problem, let alone how to fix it, how to work on it, even though that's really the only way to get to a better version of your life. But the story doesn't stop here. It gets much worse. Let's keep going. I want to show you guys something that I noticed. Let's take a look at what these coaches encourage you to do. How to get revenge on a narcissist, which is that should be a red flag to you right there. Something is not quite right with this whole story.
This week I got a lot of questions about how to kind of take revenge or how to defeat, or just, a lot of people that are going through these painful experiences that you have to go through when dealing with a narcissist. And, people are angry and people are sad and people are confused and they want to see someone suffer for what they had done to them. So in this video,
and she's going to give them the way to do that. Are you hearing what she's saying here? People are emailing in because they've been hurt, and so they want to hurt the person that hurt them. And she's going to give them the tools to do that. This is your coach, ladies and gentlemen. And you might be thinking, well, okay, this is just a one-off though. This isn't that common. It's actually kind of everywhere. Let's see, check out this Tammy. Torture the narcissist. We want to torture the narcissist now. Let's see, what else? Destroying the narcissist's ego. This guy over here, 4 ways to torture the narcissist. Now, she basically goes on to say, give them the silent treatment, which seems harmless enough, but this is a trap. Let me explain. These descriptions of narcissistic behavior are vague enough that we can stamp that label onto pretty much anybody that we want to. And once we see that label on their forehead, the narcissist, we don't see them as a human anymore. And when we don't see someone as a human, we start to feel like we can treat them however we want because they're this monster that can't do anything right. And we're the good guy that can't do anything wrong because our cause is righteous and we're punishing the bad guy for all of their sins. But this is the same drug that cancel culture and the progressive left are addicted to right now. Those people over there are bad because they're too male or white or too narcissist or rich or fill in the blank, whatever you want to put there. So vent all of your bitterness and frustration for all the bad things that have happened in your life onto them because they're bad and they deserve to be treated badly. This is a trap though. These people are selling you more misery. It won't get you the better life that they're promising. Scripture and research tell us that venting your anger onto another person actually makes you feel worse. The only way to be free from all of that anger and hurt is actually really counterintuitive. You have to forgive them and let it go. No amount of punishment that you put onto that person will ever break you free from the power of what they did to you, because it's not a debt that they could repay. Only forgiving them and canceling the debt that they owe you will set you free from their power over you. But it's impossible to forgive someone like that as long as you feel like justice hasn't been done. We have to remember that, yeah, what they did to you really hurt you, and it really was bad. But that's why the price that Jesus paid was so high. Jesus took all of that hurt onto his shoulders, all of those crimes that were done to you onto his shoulders, and justice fell onto him. When we rest in faith in that, that'll free you up to have grace for other people and their mistakes, which is critical to relationships. If you can't have grace and forgiveness for the selfishness that other people bring to the table, you will never be able to accept them for the human being that they are. And sure, there are people who are more selfish and narcissistic than others, and there's nothing wrong with learning how to spot those things and how to protect yourself from them. But rather than getting sucked into this self-destructive narrative, keep it simpler than that. Just pay attention to whether or not they're willing to work on themselves. They want to get rid of their selfishness and become more like Jesus every day and be more of a blessing to the people around them. Because if a person is willing to work on that stuff, even if they are selfish sometimes, which they will still be a lot of the time, you can still be pretty certain that they're a good person to have in your life. And keep in mind that we're not nearly as good at diagnosing NPD as we like to imagine we are, because we're biased. We're too close to the situation. So try to have some grace for people before you slap that label on them. And if you want to break your brain free from this trap, remember that Jesus paid for the same sins in you and me as he did for them, even if they are a narc monster. Remembering that will help you recenter on a mindset of grace for others and peace for yourself. And that is the way to flourishing, healthy relationships and that better life that you're after. If any of this was helpful, be sure to hit the like button, let the YouTube algorithm know that you were here, and hit the subscribe button so that you can get more. And if you want to learn more about why the motivational content you're consuming isn't motivating you, check out this video right here. That's all I got this time. Stay weird. Peace.